Boru Aboye. There's a wonderful teaching from one of the verses of Ifa that says, when we wake up in the morning, we should teach one another wisdom and not lay the foundation for madness. When we have a problem, we should confer with one another. And after lots of deliberation, if we still cannot solve the problem, then we should consult Ifa. And that comes from the Holy Odu Oturupon Wanifa, Oturupon Onwani. And I love that particular lesson because it reaffirms something that I absolutely know to be true based on my experience as a teacher, as a counselor, as a trainer, which is the expertise is in our midst. The expertise is all around us. Even at the level of being a counselor, one of the first things any counselor who's worth his salt is going to do when you start to work with a client or a patient, you want to find out what resources does that patient have at hand. You want to help that patient realize what they can do to start solving their own problem, right? You're coming to me and you might be thinking that my job is to solve your problem for you, but really what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to you, and then I'm going to try to help you identify in your environment, what do you have that's working for you? Who do you know that can help you solve this problem? What kinds of resources are in your work environment or your home environment or your religious environment, your political environment? What do you have that you may be overlooking that can help you address this problem so you're not trying to bear the burden all on your own? And that principle just continues in the classroom, in a workshop, in a temple, whatever the case may be. Part of the key is helping everybody recognize what are the resources that you have available within yourself and all around you. Now, this is a powerful lesson right at this moment because we're in the wake of yet another horrible tragedy wherein our brother George Floyd of Minneapolis, Minnesota was brutally murdered by 4 policemen. And they handcuffed this brother, laid him down face down in the street, and then they leaned on him. They kneeled, put their knees on his body, on his stomach, on his chest, on his neck. And he's completely immobilized, and you can hear him pleading with them. Please, let me stand up. Please, I can't breathe. And they ignore him. They just are leaning on him for no apparent reason. But the image is symbolic of a whole system that deliberately and dispassionately pressures and oppresses African Americans to death. It's the epitome of what it means to live behind enemy lines. The system leans on you to death. Okay? And any dimension of the system can be weaponized to kill you at any point. It could be the educational system, it could be the medical system, it could be the legal system, it could be any kind of a system that is part of American society, and it can be weaponized just like that. Right? The other example, on one extreme you have brother George Floyd who's murdered. On the other end of the extreme you got the brother Mr. Cooper. I've forgotten his first name. Super nerd. The guy's a bird watcher in New York. He was on the Audubon Society. Like, he's a real nerd. Harvard graduate, horn-rimmed glasses. And he's asking the white lady just to put her dog on a leash. She loses it. And she calls 911 on the black man who is asking her just to leash her dog in a public park. So, again, perfect indicators of how any dimension of the system can be weaponized against a black man just like that. At a moment's notice. You go from being an ordinary person to you're under siege. Right? Now, these things, they provoke a reaction, and they should. These are outrageous things, and you should be outraged. You should be infuriated. Right? And so people who loot and who protest and they react in all these other kinds of ways, I can't blame you. I cannot blame you. I cannot say that those things are not appropriate responses, because it's an impossible situation, to be constantly victimized for just because people can get away with it, you know. But I want to really, really drive home a more important lesson. In addition to any kind of immediate letting off of steam, right? In addition to that, what needs to happen is we need to tap into our own natural gifts and talents and figure out who we really serve. We need to optimize those natural gifts and talents in service to the people and the causes that we are meant to serve. There's a way that each and every one of us can make a meaningful contribution to the lives of other people in our immediate environment if we decide to get involved. Getting involved doesn't mean anything extreme. It doesn't mean that you got to burn something down or shoot someone. It doesn't mean you got to have beads and pots and titles. It doesn't mean any of that. It means that you need to, first and foremost, you need to get clear on the fact that you have something meaningful to contribute. You might cook. You might cook. I'm thinking about my time as an educator at Ile-Omode, which is Oakland's premier independent black school. We have foreign language, we got music, we got martial arts, we got science, we got computer technology. We send our students off to earn millions of dollars in scholarships at Oakland's, in the Bay Area's, more prestigious private high schools. And I'm going to tell you that at the highlight of our year is the 8th grade graduation. It used to happen at the City Hall. It's a big deal, gala event, right? And you get these students who are winning scholarships, and they're talking about, being computer programmers with Google, and they're talking about the different lessons that they learned in history and in science, etc. But without fail, every student who makes a presentation will, for every year that I have been there, they will say, but the thing that I'm going to miss most is Mama Rosa's cooking. Right? The thing that I will always cherish is Mama Rosa's cooking. Right? Who's Mama Rose? Mama Rose is the cook. She's the daughter of the director. She's the mother of the director of the school, and she cooks, and she makes these magnificent home-cooked meals for the school every single day. 130, 140 people every single day eat from Mama Rose's kitchen, and it's delicious. And it has an impact on these people's lives so much that as they're graduating, they want to make sure that they acknowledge Mama Rose. Okay? So you might cook, right? Mama Rose doesn't teach computer science. She doesn't teach Spanish. She doesn't teach trombone. She doesn't teach West African dance. She cooks. Okay? And that's a metaphor as well for us teaching one another wisdom and deliberating for a long time and solving our own problem. Before we, go official, we need to solve our problems right where they are, right in front of us, with the people with whom we share the environment. So it's important that you as the individual start to awaken to your natural gifts and talents and get more and more clear and more certain about the fact that you have those talents in order to serve. And you need to pick who you're going to serve. If it's an individual, go to that individual. Hey, look, this is what I have. This is what I can do. These are the resources at my disposal. I want to give them to you because I see what you're doing as an individual, and I want you to be successful. I've already gotten what I need out of these. I want to give them to you, right? I already know that they have gotten the benefit of this particular skill set that I have. I want to give it to you. I want to work for you in this capacity. I want to give you so many hours every single week so that I can help you to be more successful at what you do. It might be a group of people, right? It might be a cause. But what has to happen is that you got to stop waiting. You have to stop waiting. No one's going to come to your door and knock on the door and say, hey, do you by chance have a set of encyclopedias that you'd like to donate? No, you know what you have. You need to, avail yourself. Make your contribution. Wake up to the fact that we need you. We need you. And it's important that you respond to that call. Show up where you're needed. Okay? Now, you don't have to give everything that you have and empty your cupboards and take the shirt off your back. You make up you form your own agreement to say that, okay, I can do this. If the agreement is I will gather up all of my resources, or I will, I can give X number of hours. Let's say if you're a lawyer, I can give 10 hours a week because of where I am in my career. I have 10 hours. I'm going to provide legal support for you as an individual, or for your organization, or for this group of people. I can give you 10 hours of support. Then do it. You run a business. You cook. You clean. You make clothes. Whatever it is. Stop waiting. All right? There has never been a better time for you to stand up and make a meaningful contribution. We absolutely, positively need you. Now, when you do this, let me explain something to you. When you do this, it's going to reduce your stress and anxiety in the face of adversity. Because everybody else is trying to figure out, well, what can I do? What can I do? And then just willy-nilly saying, well, I'll just do this. Maybe I'll just post something on Facebook, right? I'll share a video on Facebook, or I'll make a comment on Facebook, or I'll go downtown and I'll protest. I'll march for a couple of hours, and you'll leave it at that, right? Because people don't know what to do. They don't know where to start. But the moment you decide that you're going to acknowledge what your natural gifts and talents are, you're going to acknowledge that these are your resources, and then you decide, this is the individual I'm going to give it to, or this is the group that I'm going to give it to, or this is the cause that I'm going to give it to. As soon as you make up your mind that that's where you're going to focus, then you're going to be able, that's going to give you a project to continue to build upon. Okay, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, you don't know how far your willingness and your commitment will possibly take you, but it will definitely free you from being caught in this dilemma of not knowing what to do at all, and just doing something because it's accessible to you, right? That's not sustainable, right? Protests aren't sustainable. Looting isn't sustainable. Posting random things on Facebook here and there, that's not sustainable, right? But you deciding you're going to cook for the school, that's sustainable. You deciding you're going to teach something at the school, that's sustainable. You deciding you're going to make a certain contribution to the efforts of individuals or groups, that's sustainable. Okay? So I want to encourage you, keep your mind and your eyes open. Don't turn away from the hardship. Don't try to hide from the horrific things that are happening every day. Face them. And as you face them, also have the courage to face yourself. Do the inventory on what contribution you could possibly make. Choose who you're going to serve with that contribution. Make an agreement as to how that contribution can be sustainable and beneficial for you and the people who you're destined to serve. And then go for it. You don't need permission. You don't need more beads. You don't need more pots. You don't need more titles. You don't need validation from anybody else. You need to make up your mind that this is your time, and you need to show up and do what you are destined to do. Boru aboye. Boshishe.